I had the great benefit of being hired onto the commission when Frank was serving as the chair of the Metro Human Relations Commission.
He was a community leader. He was a civil rights leader. He was a great friend.
He was a big, soft, southern teddy bear with a big giant heart called everybody darling.
One of the things we've said time and time again in the last 3 months is Frank loved. He loved you no matter who you were, no matter how you were. He loved you as you were.
If you never met Frank, one of the first things you would notice is his genuine personality about paying attention to you and wanting to know about you and making that connection. He had a gift for that, and he made everybody feel welcome and appreciated and felt like they were part of the team. You know, it was he had a very special gift for that.
Had this thing that I think people would often underestimate, and it was this deep strength. I mean, really, like, he would never come off as a tough guy, but he wasn't afraid of a challenge. He wasn't afraid to tell the truth, even when telling the truth was hard.
He was an activist of the underdog. He wanted to make sure everybody was taken care of. Everybody. He didn't care who. He just wanted to make sure everybody knew they were loved, and he wanted to make sure that everybody knew that they had a person and that person could be him.
Frank advocated for people, for human beings, and he advocated most strongly for people who might not otherwise have a voice.
He loved his community. This is his home place. This is where he was born, where he was raised, and where he came back to. And he wanted everyone to know what a treasure we had in Donaldson, what a secret we were. And obviously the secret's out now. Everybody wants to be part of us.
He was able to bring people together who might not otherwise work together. He could get people to see the benefit of joint action or doing a project together, and he made it fun.
The farmers market was something that came out of a discussion on Hip Donaldson Group.
We hadn't been in Hip Donaldson maybe a year, and we asked the people, what do you want? What do you want in Donaldson? Farmers market was the resounding thing they wanted. So instead of saying, man, I wish somebody would build us a market, Frank said, hey, how do we do a market? And so we figured it out. Between the farmers market, between bringing businesses to Donaldson, getting facades built on some of our older businesses, going to the older businesses and say, we want you to go with us, grow with us, come with us. With Metro Police Charities, he was a driving force behind that, with getting Hip Donaldson on board with that. And every year we donate thousands of dollars to that, to our underserved in our community.
Frank codified those ideas, got the meeting together, got the right people together, put the team together, and made it happen. And it's been just one of the most successful things I think ever in Donaldson.
Arguably, Frank revitalized Donaldson. He was one of the three that started Hip Donaldson, along with Andrew Bradley and Jeff Syracuse. But Frank was the one who stood behind it and put thousands upon thousands upon thousands of hours of work into it.
To take an idea and then conceptualize it, visualize it, and implement it, that was a huge strength of Frank's.
Frank was really great at bringing people together.
We had a young man named Donnie, and if you lived in Donaldson, you knew who Donnie was. Donnie was developmentally disabled.
When you're kicked down, you would want Frank to help you get back up.
Donnie walked our streets and collected aluminum cans. From the streets, from the gas stations, from the businesses. He would walk in and say, I'm here for your cans. And he would take those cans, and everybody saved them. And he would take them home, and then he would take them to the recycling center, and that was how he contributed to his family. That was his job.
He would laugh with you, He might even laugh at you. But he was always going to be the one to give you a hand.
Frank took him so many places. Donnie would go through about a pair of good walking shoes every 30 days. So Frank would put him in the car and they'd go to Kohl's and they would go shopping.
And I think he would just be so happy to know of what he was able to accomplish, how he was able to inspire people to give back. And his memory will always be such that it inspires people to want to serve and to give back. And I think that that will always be there.
Donnie drew ill with congestive heart failure. And the community rallied around him, but there's nothing that we could do. And Frank stood beside him that whole time. Up until Donnie passed. And told him, you're gonna be fine. We know what's on the other side. You're gonna be fine. And anytime Donnie would be scared, Frank would say, no, don't be silly. There's nothing to be scared of. We got you. We're here. Your family is here. Two different worlds. Two different worlds. And Frank loved Donnie. I don't know if you'd say it was like a brother. Was it like a child? More importantly, it was like a friend.
I know that the community that he built in Donaldson was incredibly important to him.
When Andrew, Frank, and I were first starting to talk about what's next for Hip Donaldson, it was, we had about, at that point, maybe about 1,000 people on the page when the three of us started meeting and talking about, well, this is a Facebook page, but it's more special than just a social media page. It's something that brings people together. And we would always talk about, it needs to stay that way. It needs to stay something that's easy and simple, and we don't want much administration to it, right? And here we are, it's been 7 years now, I guess, when it first started. And we would always look back on that conversation where we said, well, it just needs to be something simple. But when we really got into it, that was something that needed administration, it needed 501c3, it needed, all of that to really, make it happen. And we would always look back on that and say, what were we thinking? We really needed to be something much more, but that was always something funny.
Frank had some Frank phrases that he liked to say. One of them was, love you more than my luggage, which basically meant kind of kiss my butt. Anytime he had done something that he knew you were going to be sassy about, he would end it with, love you more than my luggage, sweets. And it was like, Usually with me, it was after he sent me a picture of a bird. He knew my fear of birds, so he would send me some bird attacking a human, and then follow it up with, love you more than my luggage.
I remember when we were first getting going with having events with Hip Donaldson. And Frank and I had never really done this before. At 50 Forward, we had food trucks, and we had a couple speakers and whatnot. And we presented the first time when we raised money through T-shirt sales, and we were able to give some of that money back to 50 Forward. There's a picture of us both looking like, which way did we go? Like, I can't believe this is happening.
He would want you to do something. He doesn't want you to sit in your chair and think, oh, the injustice of it all. He wants you to be a fixer. He wants you to see the problem and then go on. He wants you to go forth, go do. Frank was a doer, and that's what he would want.
He was a fierce supporter of the commission's work and our mission.
He would want to be remembered as the champion of the underdog and the underserved.
Frank would want to be remembered for what we were able to accomplish on behalf of the community.
We have a food pantry at Trew Middle Prep that serves our elementary schools for our underserved children in his honor. He saw a need. And instead of saying, man, I wish they could do something about that, he said, hey, let's do something about that. Here's how I'm gonna start. And everybody jumped on board. And now we've got it's a big pantry. And Two Rivers serves all of our elementary schools.
I want to tell Frank, thank you. He held my hand when I went through some hard times, both personally and professionally. And it was a real comfort. He was really genuine in his comfort. So I just want to say thank you.
Because of what he did, he sets the bar for service to community.